Hi everyone, this is Farah and this is Leading by Design, conversations about design and leadership. Today I'd like to talk to you about behavioral economy. It's an important subject for us designers and sometimes it gets neglected. It's one of my favorite topics. It has always been interesting for me to see how people make decisions and how, as an ethical designer, we can guide users or our customers of products or services to make the right decision. It's the part of my job that I love the most, doing research, experimenting with ideas, and see what works best for the users. The content of this episode is from a book called Predictably Irrational by Dan Ariely. A little bit about this book and the author. Predictably Irrational is 3 times New York Times bestseller. As of today, more than 11,000 people rated this book on Amazon, and it has 4.5 average star rating. A little bit about Dan. He's a professor of psychology and behavioral economics at Duke University. He wrote other books, and some of them are Irrationally Yours, Payoff, Amazing Decisions, and Dollars and Cents. His new book called Misbelief, and it's about what makes rational people believe in irrational things. Sounds interesting to me. I've already added it to the list of books I want to read this year. He says, I derive a lot of satisfaction from seeing my work take shape in the real life. I definitely understand that. Let's talk a little bit about this book and a couple of chapters in this book. Let's start with a chapter called The Cost of Social Norm. In this chapter, Dan and his team are trying to experiment with the idea that people are most willing to do things just for moral aspect of it, to contribute to a greater good more than um, materialistic reasons. So they decide to perform an experiment with 3 groups of people. They ask Group A to drag circles in a box using computer and math for 5 minutes. They pay each participant in this group $5 each. On average, each participant drags 159 circles. They run the same experiment with Group B and they paid them only 50 cents. I don't know when they perform these experiments and if anybody does anything for 50 cents these years, but you get the idea. This group drags 101 circles in the box. Less money, lower performance, I guess it's expected. With Group C, however, they run the same experiment, but they don't offer them any money. They tell them that participating in the experiment means they are contributing to the research and it will help many people in the future. And it just contributes to the greater good. Participants in this group drag 168 on average. They perform well above the other 2 groups. I found this interesting and I decided to use this learning in the project I'm currently working on. As part of my project, all financial institutions in Australia must get their customers to review their profile details. That way, financial institutions have the most up-to-date details of their customers and help them to know who their customers are, basically. This is to prevent financial crime and money laundering. Many people don't want to do it, and my job is to encourage people to review and confirm their details. So I created some concept to test with customers and see which one works better. In one of the concepts, I told them that each customer that confirmed their details, NAP will pay $2 to Australia Disaster Relief Charity. In another concept, I told them If they confirm their details, NAB will give them points. It could be Qantas or flybys, whatever they are accumulating. To my surprise, the result was very close. A lot of people were willing to do it just because they knew their action is going to help other people out. Cool. Let's move on to the next topic. This one's called the problem of procrastination and self-control. As human beings, we all procrastinate. We have a lot of New Year resolution that we forget about or we never start. We decide to quit smoking, exercise more, or eat healthier, but we never do. Dan and his team decides to run an experiment to see if they can do anything to resolve the problem or help it to some extent. They run an experiment with three groups, this time uni students. With group one, they tell them that they can choose the date in which they deliver their assignments. There would be penalty involved if they don't deliver it on time. Group 2, there is no deadline, and Group 3, there is a defined deadline by the professor. Which group do you think they performed better? It's not a surprising result, but yes, Group 3 with a defined deadline performed the best. The important part of this experiment is mainly which group performed the second best? Well, it's group one, the group that chose their own deadline. Dan brings an example on how this can be used in healthcare. As we know, many governments are spending a lot of money on public health. Most of health issues can be prevented if people take precautionary measures and do regular checkups. At this day and age, we can't impose that on people. It might happen sometimes in the future, but not now. Like once upon a time, there was no fine for people who weren't wearing seat belts, but there is now. Anyways, back to the healthcare issue. How do we encourage people to take their regular tests? Dan suggests maybe we can take the same approach with group one. Maybe we can tell people to choose an appointment time within the next year, let's say, and get them to pay a fee of $50. If they show up on the day, that they pick themselves, the $50 will be refunded back to them. And if they don't show up, they will lose it. I think it would work. It might even work in my project that I talked to you about. I need to run some experiments, some testing, and see how it goes. Alrighty, let's move on to the next chapter. This chapter is called The Effect of Expectation. Why the mind gets what it expects. The experiment that Dan and his team run this time is with two groups of people. Group one, they give them two beers to taste. Beer one is the normal beer that you can buy from bars and liquor stores, and beer B is that the same beer with couple of drops of balsamic vinegar. They don't tell participants that there is balsamic vinegar in beer B. Most people say that they like beer B better. They run the same experiment with another group of people, but this time they tell them that there is vinegar in beer B. What's the result, do you think? Well, people say they like beer A better. Moral of the experiment, if you tell people up front that something might be distasteful, the odds are that they will end up agreeing with you, not because of their experience, but because of their expectations. This has been used in marketing a lot. The way products are being priced and packaged is trying to give us the notion of quality. It might be the generic brand, but in a nicer package and higher price. But as consumer, we might fall into the trap and buy that generic brand in a nicer packaging, thinking it's going to have a better quality. Knowing these as consumer of products will help us to make decisions better. And as a designer with ethics, knowing this can help us to present our product in a way that it reflects its true value and nature. The power of expectation can impact us in different ways. In another chapter that is called The Power of Price, Dan runs experiment with groups of people, this time with painkillers. So he marketed the same painkiller with two different prices. Experiment shows that people see the more expensive painkiller to be more effective. As I said, they are the same brand, the same quality. Price can create perception of quality after all. There was another interesting topic and in this book, which is called Cost of Zero, Why We Love Free Stuff. And the reasoning that Dan brings is that most transactions have an upside and downside. Humans are afraid of loss, so we perceive free things as no loss. And that's actually true sometimes, but not always. Sometimes this perception can impact our decision making in a negative way. For example, if the price of Lindt chocolate is $7 and the price of Turkish Delight, let's say, is $5, if we discount both chocolates by $5, it makes Turkish Delight free, basically. Does it make it a better deal? Well, no. Free gives us an emotional charge that we perceive what is being offered as immensely more valuable than it really is. What is the point of knowing it all, like knowing all of these? To me, it's good to have an awareness about the way we think, about the way we make decisions. And this information can remove bias and hopefully help us make a decision that is free of all those biases. This brings us to the end of this episode. Please let me know what you think. If you agree or disagree with any of these topics we discussed. If you like what we discussed, go and read the book. The good thing about this book is that you don't have to read it cover to cover. You can go through the list of the content and read the chapters that sounds more interesting to you. Till next time, take care. Bye.